Hi dear subscribers, most watch me without a subscription, support my channel with a subscription, and I will make you happy with new story. Story 1. My boss makes me wear her clothes, eat her food, and say I'm grateful for my job. I was hired about 6 months ago at a small business. I'm in my mid-20s, and this is my first professional job after completing grad school. It's just me, the owner/director, and a part-time assistant. Because we're such a small office, I spend a lot of time one-on-one with my boss. Sometimes she's a lovely person, other times she's quite difficult to handle. She's very particular in how things get done and likes to micromanage, but I understand that this is her business and happy to comply with her instructions. But one problem I haven't figured out how to deal with is her expectation that I be more grateful for the job. She constantly remarks things like, "This is such a good job, I give you such great pay hours, you kids don't appreciate how good I am to you, and no other job would treat you this well." I always respond, "I'm grateful for the opportunity," but if my answer doesn't satisfy her expectations, I get a lecture about how I need to be more grateful/thankful. Also for reference, I work 9 to 5 5 days a week, and make a $35,000 in New York City. Boss claims she likes to mentor young women, which I do appreciate, but most of the time it's just mothering. For example, constantly reminding me to watch my purse on the subway, wear a helmet when I bike, which I always do, or explaining to me how to wash my hands properly. She's constantly bringing in food, and then offering it to us multiple times a day. "Why don't you eat a banana? I brought you some good soup, take home this beet salad," etc. Whenever I politely decline, she gets offended. So I've taken to choking down food I don't want/secretly throwing it away. She caught me doing that one time, and I was subjected to a tirade of how ungrateful I was. Boss has also brought me her old dresses and jackets, makes me parade around the office, and then asks that I wear them on certain days. Most of the time I comply, because it's easier than turning her down and I don't want to hurt her feelings, but it makes me uncomfortable. I almost got fired last month. On my way to the store to pick up dog food before work, I fell through a loading hatch on the street, broke 2 ribs and hit my head. I was in a daze the whole way to the hospital, and by the time I was finished with my MRI, it was 45 minutes after I was supposed to be at work. I called boss as soon as the doctor let me out, and she was very upset that I didn't call her right away. I got home, went to bed on painkillers, and sent her an email that evening detailing the whole story. I understand that she was worried when I didn't show up, and apologized profusely and assured her I would be at work the next day. When I came again, she berated me for failing to call, accused me of not being grateful and not caring about my job, and actually posted my job on a hiring site and made me beg for her to take the posting down. We've moved on from that incident, and I am trying to tough it out for another 6 months before I start job hunting, and there are aspects of the job that I like. But now I've run into a new problem. When I received my tax documents, I got a 1099 instead of a W-2. I am definitely not a contract employee. I am expected to work 9 to 5, 5 days a week, I must be at the office, I receive a salary check weekly, etc. I want to approach this with her, but I'm afraid I'll just get another lecture about how I'm ungrateful, this is a good job, and that if I push the issue, I'll get fired. And if I do get fired, I won't be eligible for unemployment because I've been classified a contract employee. How do I best approach this with her while assuring her I'm grateful for the job? I'm still new to the workforce and have no experience handling these type of situations. Any advice on how to navigate this would be greatly appreciated. Update: first of all, I want to thank you and your readers for all the wonderful advice. I'm fairly new to the professional workforce, and that, coupled with ADHD and anxiety, led to me believing this environment was normal and I was just a failure for being overwhelmed and stressed. I am especially grateful for the readers who reached out with offers to point me in the direction of support groups for abusive bosses or offers to help me find another job. Really, it truly meant the world to me. Also, I'm not sure my mother quite believed how difficult my job situation was, but once I sent her the link to your website, she agreed that I needed to start looking for a new job. Long story short, I quit my job.to clear up some speculation from my original post. I worked at an art gallery. Apparently, it is a field full of eccentric rich people who have enough extra money to fund artists and buy expensive art, and then run these businesses however they choose. I've heard stories from many of my peers working similar jobs, and it has just solidified the fact that I do not belong in that field. I stuck it out through the end of the year for one reason only. One of my job responsibilities was creating all the promotional material for the gallery, and I discovered I have a real affinity for graphic design. Along with basic print/web promotion, the gallery also self-publishes a yearly magazine and calendar. On top of that, this past summer the gallery received commission requests for 2 books, all for which I was the sole graphic designer. I was waiting for those 2 books to go to the printer, and my plan was to start looking for a job in graphic design as soon as we received the books. Once I had made that plan, I was able to compartmentalize her quirks and unreasonable requests as there was an end in sight. There were also a few drastic changes shortly after I wrote to you. When I first sent the letter, the second assistant, Sansa, was a mild-mannered, foreign exchange student who, more or less, went along with my boss's demands. But she left and was replaced by Arya, who was much more headstrong. Arya actually spoke up and challenged my boss when she felt boss was being unreasonable and was quick to push back on decisions she didn't agree with. Almost immediately, she and boss butted heads, continuously. These conflicts actually enabled me to kind of keep my head down and fly under the radar while I was finishing up those design projects. Then, Arya rage quit in April. I don't remember the exact straw that broke the camel's back, but it was a long time coming. Shortly after that, boss had some personal issues that took her out of the office most days. Therefore, I was able to just do my work without her breathing down my neck. I was much more efficient when I was able to just send her my work, she'd send me edits, and I'd make the corrections. I think she noticed that too, because she scaled way back on micromanaging. Also, inspired by Arya, I began standing up for myself as far as the food and clothes were concerned. I'd politely decline any request I wasn't comfortable with, and then hold firm in my refusal. She'd still accuse me of not being grateful on occasion. When that happened, I'd reaffirm that I am happy to have this opportunity, and she would go mutter to herself about how nobody appreciated her. Things improved for a little while, but in the fall, it all went downhill again. At one point, she zeroed in on the fact that I like onion and pepper in my salad. She told me I could no longer have those with my lunch, because it wasn't ladylike. I countered by brushing my teeth after eating and bringing gum, in case my breath was offensive. She still didn't like it and used to make comments such as "nobody will want to kiss you if you eat onions." Cool? She set the gallery on fire by trying to microwave a scone for 5 minutes. I got yelled at for a variety of reasons, some more legitimate than others. Some of the most ridiculous were: her smart TV at her home, to which I had never been, stopped working. An Amazon package had not arrived yet. It was raining outside. I did make some mistakes, but I'm pretty sure it was the rain incident that made me realize I had to get out of there. Another problem was she had not hired someone to replace Arya, as I'd been able to pick up the slack of both positions. As a professional courtesy, I did not want to leave without her hiring at least one other person. I kept asking when we were going to put up a posting for the second assistant job. She kept dodging the subject and then finally said, "Well, you seem to be handling all the work fine." I informed her mid-November that I would be leaving at the end of the year, giving her a month's notice. I had registered for a full-time accelerated graphic design course that started in January, plus I'd pick up some freelance design/photography work. She took the news surprisingly well, but spent the next month making offhanded comments about how I would regret this decision and passing up such a great opportunity, etc. With an end in sight, I was mostly able to tune it out. She put off hiring a new person until the day before my last day, and then asked me to stay another week to train them. I agreed to come back for 2 days, which was a mistake on my part, as she spent the whole time I was attempting to train the new hire interrupting me. Anyway, we parted on good terms and I was so relieved to no longer work there until the next week when she emailed, offering my job back, as the new hire had abruptly quit. I agreed to help out for 1 day, and have declined all future offers. As far as the tax issue, I took your advice and tried to address it in a completely factual way. She got defensive, claimed this was how she has always filed her taxes, and I just didn't appreciate how hard she worked / what a good opportunity this was / etc., so I just let it go. Due to the whole COVID-19 situation, I am missing some relevant documents and have not been able to file my taxes yet, but I will be filing the complaint with the IRS. In spite of everything, I don't harbor any ill will towards her. I do not believe she is a great manager, and our personalities are not a good match, but I don't think she has bad intentions. While I am so happy to no longer be a part of that institution, I also don't completely regret my time there. If nothing else, I gained some great items for my design portfolio and was able to practice establishing boundaries. Thanks again for running my letter. The advice and responses were invaluable and helped me change the direction of my career for the better. Update: last I sent, I had just quit my job with the horrible boss in order to pursue freelance gigs. I'd been having enough freelance success while employed that I thought I could resign, achieve my Adobe certification within 3 months, and hit the ground running for a new job. That was early 2020, so, as my plan did not anticipate a pandemic, it didn't quite shake out the way I'd hoped. That I limped on through 2020 to 2021, surviving on freelance work and a very lucrative translating opportunity that fell into my lap. Think Latin or ancient Greek, which I studied in college. However, as much as I loved being a freelancer, with the ability to set my own schedule and allow myself to travel, I started to get nervous about the impending end of my translation gig. I definitely needed to up my freelance work intake or find gainful employment elsewhere. Also, I went back to assist horrible boss a few times, and kept in touch over email, but as the pandemic progressed my mental health took a downward turn, so I cut her off. Probably the best decision I've ever made. So, I had settled on applying to full-time jobs. I brushed up my resume, with help from your site, and started looking. I was actually about to email you separately about how to list a job in which you don't want the recruiter to contact your former employer. I have plenty of wonderful freelance clients, who I have asked to give me references, and they've all enthusiastically agreed. However, I was worried about the stealth reference check, and I want to ensure my former boss is not contacted. I did not want to leave the job with horrible boss completely off my resume, because it showed some discernible progress in my skills, proves I can work in an office environment, etc. However, months before I quit that job, boss told me, almost gleefully, about how she torpedoed a former employee's next job reference. For what it's worth, the former employee was a college intern who was expected to work the day after Christmas. When the employee said no and quit, boss trashed her on every reference call she received. Which, as I said, was a tale she almost told me giddily. I understand sometimes employees need to work holidays, but her reaction seems Caucasian villainesque. Well, I was in the midst of contemplating this quandary when my partner was able to purchase a house. Yay! I'd done some real estate photography editing previously, but never shot it myself, so I asked my partner if I could go use his house as practice. Partner called his agent, the agent asked for my number, and called me 10 minutes later. Apparently, the agent had been doing all the photography for the firm but was A, sick of it, and B, about to leave on his honeymoon for a month, so they needed someone fast. So yeah, I did a test run with them, they loved my work, and now I'm a contract employee for their real estate firm. Honestly, the best of both worlds for me. I'm getting enough shoots a week to alleviate financial anxiety, but still maintaining enough flexibility to manage my time how I like. I didn't realize work like this was possible. Even if it wasn't, I had multiple relatives/friends comment on how after I quit that job my general attitude seemed significantly improved, and I feel it too. Thank you so much, Allison, to you and your readers for making it clear how not normal that job was, how I could and should deserve better, and should not put up with being treated like that. Also, I ran the numbers from my tax returns, and for all boss's pontifications about how great a job that was, I still made way less money than I did bartending. I still wish old boss the best, just glad I'm not involved in her life orbit anymore. Once again, thank you and your readers. Would never have the courage to leave that situation without your support. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe, thank you.